Hi, my name is Samantha Jaloza, and my project is titled Jig Jacobs, It Takes One to Save a Village. October 18th, 1958. Dear Diary, every day I find something new that I love about New York City. Since I moved here 20 years ago from my small hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania, I have experienced so many new things. Even my career path is changing. I came to New York to be a journalist, and I still enjoy writing so much, but I feel like there's a field that needs my help. Urban planning is going in a negative direction, and it is very obvious when you look around at cities like New York. A few years ago, while I was working for the Architectural Forum, I was sent to Philadelphia to do a project in urban development. I was led on a tour by Ed Bacon, and the most striking thing I saw was a street before renovation, filled with happy people, playing and socializing. Then I saw the new street, with only one sad boy, and realized this was where New York was headed to. Planners all around the world are trying to make cities larger and more fast-paced, instead of focusing on preserving what already exists there. It's so scary to think that the city that I have so much love and admiration for is declining so quickly. Cars are taking away the beauty of everything, making everyone zip past and ignore the sights, and they cause unbelievable traffic. However, they do make getting around more easy. Robert Moses' plan for the Lower Manhattan Expressway scares me too. I don't want a highway going through the village, and I'm sure my neighbors wouldn't want that either. The worst part is the number of people that will be displaced by its being built. So many families and businesses will be moved, and for what? More cars and traffic? I know Robert Moses is an expert in urban planning, but doesn't he realize what he's doing to the city? I'm sure there are other people that agree with me, and also want to make a change. Just a few months ago, we were successful in stopping the city from extending Fifth Avenue to Washington Square Park. Hopefully, New York won't change too much in the coming years, and there'll be more positive things to talk about soon. So until next time, Jean Jacobs. January 2nd, 1970. Dear Diary, another successful year in the fight against urban development has just come to an end. It's crazy to think that it's already been 10 years since my book, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, was published. The past 10 years in general have been filled with many victories and defeats. Being able to display my ideas to so many people so far has made me extremely happy, and it's had a pretty good reception so far, and hopefully will inspire even more people in the future. In a letter, Lewis Mumford said, "There's no one else who's had so many fresh and sensible things to say about the city." Its reception sadly wasn't always great, though. Robert Moses had some mean words to say about it, and in a letter to my publisher, he called it intemperate, inaccurate, and libelous. I think he was just intimidated by me, and still is. It feels like my fight against Robert and other planners will never come to an end. It's already been 8 years since I joined the Joint Committee to stop the Lower Manhattan Expressway. The years were filled with hard work, but we got our way, and in 1968, Moses' plans were shattered, and the Lomex was decided not to be built. I'm happy that a highway won't be going through the village, but I'm even more glad that thousands of families and businesses are able to stay in their places. I'm also continuing to spread my beliefs on urban development and economics. My new book, The Economy of Cities, was published recently. Because of the death and life of great American cities, my ideas have spread to planners all around the world. Other people are beginning to understand and agree that neighborhoods are only successful if the different levels of community division work together, and people have interest and devotion to where they live. Without their interest and support, nothing should be able to get done. Working together to try and make a change is also so important. Leading the West Village Committee, I truly learned why this is so necessary. The city wanted to knock down buildings and change zoning plans in the village, but none of us wanted that. 7 years ago, we created our own housing plan, but sadly, that was declined. However, the problems are happening all over again, and we just created our own new housing plan that would fit all of our needs, and was accepted and is in the works right now. Hopefully, it'll be up and ready soon for people to live happily there. The amount of success that activists like me have had this year is nothing in comparison to all the coup of major urban planners in the city. We have to continue fighting if we want to win this war. And it's not just up to us. The whole community has to step in for any changes to be made. Hopefully, even more people will step up, just like they did at the meeting about the Lower Manhattan Expressway. Back in 1916, we all stood up to protest our beliefs. It makes me so happy to think that our actions are making changes. And maybe soon, people will stop even suggesting the damaging ideas because they know we will stop them. So until next time, Jean Jacobs. October 25th, 1997. Dear Diary, I just finished my interview with Letitia Kent from the Greenwich Village Society for Historic Preservation. We talked about all the different events that have happened to me since I moved to New York over 50 years ago. So many different events from my past were brought up, including the fight to save Washington Square Park. I still remember the ribbon tying ceremony we held when the city decided on not allowing traffic through the park. My children, and children from all across the city, stood together, and instead of cutting a ribbon, tied it together. So many people stood up to help in this fight, and it really started up my personal fight against urban development and gave other community organizations the drive to stand up for themselves. Letitia also asked me about the city's plan to do an urban study on 14 blocks of the West Village back in 1961, which probably would have ended up in the demolition of this area and for large apartment buildings to be put up. I believed then, and still believe now, that cities thrive when there's mixed buildings of different materials and sizes, and that small buildings and blocks, like my own home, could benefit a city. I'll never forget when my son Jimmy told me that he heard from the surveyors that they were going to cut out our sidewalk. As I tucked him into bed one night, he told me that we were going to lose our tree. After I heard this, I wrote up some petitions, and although they weren't the only thing that aided in saving the West Village, they played an extremely important role. Letitia also asked me about NYU's building of the Bob's Library on the south side of Washington Square Park back in 1961. They were given this land without an auction, and it could have been used for the public, which shouldn't be allowed. The worst part about the construction of this new library was that its height would obstruct sunlight from the park. Me and a few other people sued the city for this. This was sadly one of the fights that I lost. Letitia asked me about when I first moved to Greenwich Village, and it has brought back to me so many memories. Living in Brooklyn and visiting Greenwich Village for the first time, I fell in love and immediately knew that I had to live there myself. Moving to my first Greenwich Village home on Morton Street was one of the most important decisions I've made in my life, and has had such a lasting impact on me. I'm so thankful for all the opportunities that I've had in my life, and for all the people that have helped me in my fight to preserve New York City and save it from the perils of urban development. Hopefully, I have a few more years to continue spreading my beliefs, and until next time, Jane Jacobs. February 15th, 2015. Dear Diary, I saw the surveyors coming in this morning, and I see the trucks and equipment coming in every day. They want to get rid of this park and put up an apartment building, just like they wanted to do in the village so many years ago. I have played this park since I was a baby, and I can't imagine not being here anymore. Children from all across the neighborhood come to play here, and I have been coming with my brothers and sisters for the past 15 years of my life. I have so many memories here, and I don't want anyone to have to grow up without it. I think other people are also in agreement with me about the closing of this park. At school the other day, I overheard a group of girls talking about how they wish the park was staying. And when I was at the grocery store with my parents, I overheard two young moms saying how they wish the park wasn't going to close so they could raise their own children there. I think I'm going to have to step up and make a change, and I'm sure I'll have the support of many other people to do so. I read Jane Jacobs' book, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, in school, and I was extremely inspired by her work. She was able to get together a group of people that had the same beliefs as her and was able to make a change. Although some may say she stopped the city from improving and becoming more advanced, she was able to preserve some of its most important parts, like Washington Square Park and Penn Station. I even talked to expert Jan Steyer, and he told me that although Robert Moses' impact on New York City is more obvious, Jane Jacobs was definitely more positive. I could tell how much passion she had about saving the village, and I believe that I have a similar passion about saving my own park. Maybe I can write a petition, and if enough people sign it, they'll keep the park. I can even start a club at my school. I know this park will be saved, and hopefully I'll have a part in it, just like Jane Jacobs did. So until next time, Sam.